So I'd like to ask all of the leadership for the Ecozoic students who are here just to stand up so we can recognize you and see your faces and say hi. So I've got a few people who aren't here, but most are. So we're going to move now to start shifting toward the concept of the Ecozoic quite a bit more. And wanted to make a couple of remarks about what ecological economics is first, right? And then talk more about that. So one of the principal arguments in favor of ecological economics, which is yet a compelling one, is that we have to recognize that the economy is connected to the Earth and and operates according to the principles of physics. And this is, of course, a foundational principle of ecological economics. But we don't often take the next steps to say that, well, if we're going to be a science-based project and science-based thinking, you can't sort of take the laws that you like and ignore the ones you don't. You have to take the whole ball of wax. And that has, of course, very radical implications for how we conceive of the human and how we conceive of our place in the cosmos. So this is it opens a big door into problems of metaphysics and theological problems about the nature of humans and what humans believe and what we believe about our place in the universe. So I just want to make sure it's clear that we had a great morning, terrific analysis of our current problems, and we also in these projects we work on these more fundamental questions of conceptualization that are important. So I think of it as kind of goodbye Michelangelo, right? The picture from the Sistine Chapel, right, where God is creating Adam, to hello to the Ecozoic, right, which is a bit more of a humble creature. Creatures are in the Ecozoic, and one of those sentences that's always astonished me for its simplicity and its importance is the one, since I've heard it, is the one from Thomas Berry. The world is not a collection of objects, but a communion of subjects. And the first time I heard that, I had no idea what it could mean. I just thought, well, that's a strange collection of words, right? And then the more I've thought about it, the more it's true that subjectivity is actually widespread. And Eduardo Cohn's book, Thinking Like a Forest, right, carries this argument really forward in a very, very systematic way, and once you grasp this very simple idea, see the world entirely differently. And so if those of you who are coming down to the farm at the end of this meeting, will see communication and hear communication, will be abundant, right, around us between plants and animals. And so it's really a fantastic eye-opener to the beautiful and plentiful abundance of life and our ability to share this and experience it. So the Ecozoic is a term coined by Thomas Berry and Brian Swim. Brian will be with us this afternoon over Zoom to talk about what this word means to him and where it came from, and his conversation with Thomas Berry when the term was coined. And it represents just a vision of which we've talked about a little bit, where we have to change our relationship to one of mutual respect and enhancement rather than of plunder, which is, as we've talked about most of the morning, not working. And the target of this project has been the notion that the universities are really keeping us pretty strongly on the wrong track, right? And I'll let you fill in your university that's doing that. I certainly have had some unpleasant exchanges with my undergraduate school about their teaching of economics. So I think it's important to hold the universities to a standard of teaching that is where respect for the earth is an intrinsic part of the curriculum, right? And I always recognize or recommend David Orr's What is Education For? It's an old article, but a hell of a good one. And so anyway, that's sort of where we're trying to get headed with all of this. And there we are, having a good time, right? Frozen lake, right? And a good place to go skiing and hopefully not fall through the ice. So I'm going to ask Ellie, you want to join me here at the, keep that up there, that's a happy picture.
So we get to try to, sum up and distill a little bit of the wisdom and the ideas that have been discussed and raised for us in way too short presentations, but actually really stimulating and interesting ones this morning. And I would just like to point out that it seems to me that the students who have been in the room today and many of those who also have graduated from the E4A program, I'm speaking particularly of master's students, who are all out in the world working. That's why they weren't able to come today, but some are community developers, some are working for foundations, some have gone on to do more academic work, but many of them are already out there doing ecological economics and our form of ecological economics for the Anthropocene in very practical ways. I think that what I heard of the presentations this morning, the things that you're all working on, there's on the table, right? Like, let's think of it as a sort of a banquet table. We have tools, we have case studies, we have pilot projects, we have models, we have systems, we have theories, and this discussion of values, I think, was really important, and several students talked about that. And these are all key building blocks, I think, and also people have looked, particularly, we're all drawn to look at what are the points of transformation, since we know things must change. So where are our points of intervention where our work can be particularly effective? I think that the value that this demonstrates, it has been so clear for me today, is that we share and benefit from an intellectual community where we can keep considering all of these things iteratively together across sciences, across economics, across humanities, social sciences. We come from different places and we have different perspectives on all these things, but we listen to each other with respect, and we're striving to build some kind of a change process together. And I think that the other thing that has been really exciting for me is to see some of you working very much at the local scale, some considering things at global scales, and everything in between. And so another one of the things that we're learning and doing together is considering these questions of how do these change processes all interrelate, and how can the crisis that we find ourselves in, which is a global crisis, but with local manifestations everywhere, how can those scales be bridged? I think it's really exciting, and I just want to salute all of you and those who are not here today, but who have been part of this process as well. Thank you so much.
Okay, so just a final word of reflection and wrap up. Thank you all again. They were wonderful presentations, fantastic conversations. So really appreciate you leaning into what we did this morning. I do want to say that as we've framed this two-day symposium as Anthropocene to the Ecozoic, and we've learned a lot along the way in these last 6 years. For those of us who are here as part of that first cohort, you probably remember, like, day one, week one, hour one, it was like, Anthropocene? We don't like that word. Like, oh boy, here we go. And it was great. We've had some wonderful debates around the word Anthropocene, because Anthropocene, in one sense, is meant to sort of signal that we now live in a human-dominated era, a human-dominated planet. And one interpretation of that would be, congratulations, humanity, we did it, right? We took over the earth, woohoo! Or another interpretation that would be a warning signal, right? That this spells disaster. And So we struggled with these different interpretations that we saw in the public around the Anthropocene. And at the time, we thought we were being innovative economics for the Anthropocene. And since then, everyone and their brother and sister talks about the Anthropocene. So it's really been quite a bandwagon. And it was wonderful to be part of that early envisioning of what an Anthropocene means, especially for our more normative disciplines like economics and finance and law and governance and ethics and philosophy. So as we've pivoted to the Ecozoic, it really has come from our community to really claim a word, claim a space, claim an idea that right from the outset is more about healing, is more about restoration, is more about justice, that signals that you don't have to question what exactly do we mean, what kind of Anthropocene. Is it a congratulation? Is it a reconciliation project, right? Or is it some kind of emancipation project? Ecozoic is really meant to signal a reconciliation project. So we're really happy that some of the students from the L3E cohort are here, really the 5th cohort of this program. As you talk and mingle during lunch, I hope you get a chance to talk about their work. I imagine a day, in the not too distant future, we'll have a symposium and hear all about their research and ideas. And also pivot towards the conversation this afternoon of what would an era of reconciliation, an era of reparations, an era of restoration imply in policy circles. And Sam Bliss and Leah Temper have designed a wonderful program that starts this afternoon and goes in tomorrow morning about using the kind of ideas from the Green New Deal framework and taking some of the work that we've been doing around ecological economics, ecozoic thinking, to apply that to what does this work imply to a Green New Deal? What does it mean? And we've heard already some of that this morning. So if you saw Sam this morning in a presentation, where's Sam? Sam is in the back there. So Sam and Leah will be, is Leah, Leah's right here, and Leah Tempered. Sam and Leah have designed a beautiful program this afternoon. So if you get a chance to chat with them at lunch, they will be around. Brian swims tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon, Steve Posner from the Gund Institute and Brian Swim will be zooming in from California. Steve has arrived too, so Steve is here. So if you get a chance to talk with Steve, at the close of the program tomorrow, we're going to be having a session that the L4E students actually have designed on to see if we can bridge this gap between the big idea of the ecozoic and the day-to-day experience of policymaking.